I think this might be that's a really good point because, if you're a business leader, if you're listening to this right now and you're like, okay, so now what? Definitely has its benefits, right? Very good at predictive, synthesizing, generating some things. Maybe you can codify it from emotion. Definitely has its limitations. Gray zone, it ain't good in. But how does it start to really impact business? Like if you're a business leader thinking this, being like, okay, so how does this impact my day to day for my organization, but also for me as a leader? And it's interesting that, in preparing for this, the best way to describe it is I feel like there's this race to AI. Like everybody's like, we got to be the first to and do this. And sure, you're going to fail and stumble along the way. And for some like yourself that have been involved in it for over a decade, you're like, guys, this is a marathon. This ain't a race. Yeah. And then for some, they're like, what is this? What are all these memes I'm seeing go around, all these trends? It just popped up out of
action figures.
Yeah, like it literally just popped up overnight. I was having a chat with someone last night. He's like, where did this come from? Right. And came out of nowhere. But I was doing some research on kind of like, what's the sentiment amongst business leaders? And one study said 91% of organizations are heavily investing in digital transformation. I was kind of surprised that wasn't 100%, but we can talk about what those other 9% are doing another time. Then on the other end, McKinsey's latest AI report forecasts by 2030, AI will drive $13 trillion in global growth. But then right now, those same business leaders that answered the first question were like, I'm like 10% confident in what the hell we're doing. Like that's a huge gap and a bit nerve wracking given the accessibility. Like anybody can sit at home and do it, right? Any employee can start working with it. So I'm curious, maybe, okay, in your world, given you work with clients, probably coming to you saying, AI, find my business, your favorite term, right? Or like, help me digitally transform. What are some of those big impacts you're seeing in business right now? How people work, jobs, everybody's worried it's going to take jobs, it might create new jobs. What are you seeing? What are your takes on that?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot going on right now. You know what? We, and this is kind of a hot take, have started to secretly refer to it as the real Web 3.0. And so I know everyone's like, oh, crypto, Web, and I'm like, But so when Web 2.0 came along, the technology that it brought to the table and what it now allowed businesses and people to do was, life-changing, right? And so that's what I'm seeing now with AI is the things that you can have it do and you can do and the different types of applications that you can build with it is, once again, life-changing. What we're seeing from business perspectives is it's playing heavy roles in the automation of things. A lot of the grunt tasks that people already don't really want to do or just take really long to do for no reason, it's helping out with some of that, as long as it's properly supervised. We're also seeing, I think you mentioned, we're seeing that it's being used for creative endeavors to help get those creative juices flowing. There's always this, block that happens, whether it's writing, whether it's even writing code or figuring out like how you're gonna design things. There's always these blocks that take time to get going, and you're trying to think through things. Sitting down and just typing out whatever is in your mind or whatever you need to do, and then letting it go, and then generate a bunch of ideas that then help you spark ideas and move forward. We're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing that it is definitely helping organizations in areas where they are they're looking to grow into scale, but they don't want to add additional capacity. And so we're starting to see that even more so than other digital transformation type of tools, it's allowing to increase their output and the value that they're delivering to their customers without increasing their headcount. And in some cases, as their headcount shrinks, not having to replace some of those roles. So that's a good and bad thing. Good for businesses and their bottom lines, potentially bad for humans and
individuals,
individuals
and jobs. Yeah.
And you mentioned that creative block and like knowing that you come from like the creative world. Like, what's your take on like where do you see that profession go? Like, how far can AI accelerate?
Well, I mean, in talking with peers, it's very 50-50 right now. There's almost also this this weird adoption of AI thing happening where there's almost kind of a guilt
Yeah.
associated with it. It's like
You're like embarrassed to admit that
embarrassed.
you use
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It feels like, oh,
It feels like cheating still,
Yeah.
right?
you feel like you're on steroids or something, and you're running a race.
Yeah.
But it's just the approach. It's almost kind of the mindset, and I think the ones who are actually embracing it and not resisting it in that way of like, oh, it's going to take over our jobs, because your entire world just talks about, how not to embrace it,
Right.
versus like, okay, what good can we look for
Yeah.
here and actually now change how we work or even approach creative? Because creativity, is about, I've always said, no such thing as something completely original. There's always going to be, you're taking inspiration from many different sources at any given point in time. There's always this search for like, oh, I'm going to come up with something original, and you can't. But what AI would do is actually expand the way you think, or even approach a problem in a way, or even open up a crack of a door to go down a slightly different path, which will actually expand your creativity. So it's literally just being open to it, and just, again, the creativity comes in with taking bits and pieces of the input. Doesn't mean like whatever it spits out, that's what you use.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
It's
true.
really about
like a thinking partner, or you can
Exactly.
riff ideas.
Exactly.
And you still use kind of your own experience and the things that
Yes.
you've been exposed to,
Absolutely.
but you just add on to that with doors that haven't been opened for you before.
And that's where the experience of the discernment really comes in. Like you've been 10 years as a creative director. Now you can really use like, what is, sure, it looks great, or the copy's fine, but is it on strategy? Is it going to help the business? You got to still put those, filters in.
Yeah.
So
It's interesting. I just saw a post on LinkedIn around how AI is going to impact education, and how like professors are, their kind of initial response to it is like, oh, all these students are now writing papers with AI and they all look the same. They all say the same. It's like it's not a real test anymore of whether the student has kind of comprehended all the knowledge. And this video also speaks about like how to embrace that in education. Like, we need to shift our thinking, instead of saying and trying to be like Big Brother and spying on whether students are using it or not, and trying to kind of call them out on it.
yeah.
Be open about it, use it, and then make the test around kind of criticizing the response, critical thinking. And I think that's what we're seeing in our own professional life as well. And if you just see it when people over rely on what ChatGPT gave you and forgot to kind of add their own human lens or critical thinking to it. So I think what we're saying is like, it won't take over the world just yet. There is true power in like that combination of human experience, human thinking, and accelerating that, opening more doors than you had access to before. And if you look at it from a leadership perspective, like, most leaders will not be the ones coding or programming or like building new agents or whatsoever. Where they do still have a role is, how is it being used within an organization, the processes around it, the behavior around it, the ethics around it, and set kind of those boundaries or guardrails around it. So it starts to feel like that true leaders, or like the leaders of the future, are the ones that kind of are capable to combine like their own emotional intelligence with a level of digital fluency, and take the best of those both worlds.